In the beginning of May, I browsed the second-hand market for PC parts, which is something that every person does on a daily basis, right? And I have come across the RX 6600 XT at less than half of what it is being currently sold new. Well, it's not being sold anymore, but its little brother, the non-XT version, is. And I saw this as an opportunity for a backup GPU, also for testing. Perhaps I will use it during summer as it emits less heat than my current GPU, but it's weaker. But you know, for gaming, certain stuff it's more than enough, as we will see.
But gaming, people should not buy from nasty crypto miners.
Well, this dude was very chill, and I asked him if the VBIOS was modified. He explained that he has no clue what I'm talking about. Somebody else put this rig together for him. He called the dude, but got no answer, yet he said that I can return it if there will be something wrong. So I pulled the trigger and went for it. Well, he actually called me later once he heard from the dude, which was very nice, which shows you that actually the seller was caring about that, So, why people say that you shouldn't buy from miners? Sure, I get the hate of increased prices, both momentarily as well as permanently, sadly, because of them. But if the person is honest, I don't see any problems. The card was kept in a clean environment, because the amount of dust on the heatsink was very little, which would indicate a use of around 2 years or less, which corresponded with his narrative. I got the GPU also in its original packaging, but let's get into some gaming and see how it performs. The GPU is combined with my test bench, which consists of a Ryzen 2700 and 32GB of RAM. Starting off with the evergreen game called Minecraft. Here the 1% lows were on par to the averages from other GPUs that I have tested, which is above 100 FPS, while the averages here at fabulous settings were at 450 frames per second. God of War on ultra settings pulsed on average above 73 FPS with very respectable 1% lows. Next we have Counter-Strike 2, where the difference between high and low quality settings was just 10 FPS apart, which indicates a CPU bottleneck, and we can also see that the GPU is not being fully utilized. That is true also for some other games, so actually the processor was bottlenecking the GPU here. As full utilization, I would consider if it varies between 90 and 100%. Satisfactory. Pushed above 100 FPS, while the 1% lows were a bit low, but I guess that was noticeable only at the beginning when the game loaded in. Witcher 3, the reworked version, was in the mid-50s with ultra settings, so this is without any ray tracing. In the Metro Exodus benchmark on high settings, the old miner managed to push almost 70 FPS, which means that we could increase the quality setting if we value visuals. The same is true for Horizon Zero Dawn, but here the quality was maxed out. Note, however, that this is not the remastered version. As we have seen, the GPU is still capable of running different new or newish games on 1080p, yet any ray trace titles would hinder the performance, because these were not good cards for ray tracing. Only recently AMD is doing very well when it comes to ray trace titles. Another weakness is the VRAM size, as it is only 80GB of memory. As we are talking about this, the RTX 5060 and 5060 Ti are such a bad purchase, as it is basically the earlier generation, so the 4060 or 4060 Ti performance, with the same amount of memory. I mean, we had this issue of VRAM 4 years ago, when this GPU was released, The VRAM amount was quite a hot topic, and mostly there were big complaints on the Nvidia side, especially for the RTX 3070 and 3070 Ti, which both had only 80GB. Initially Nvidia intended to release the RTX 3060 with only 6GB, as the mobile version is, but due to the backlash, they doubled it to 12GB, but this was not because they wanted, but because they had to. Also later they silently released an 8GB version, which is also, not just it has less VRAM, but it was also weaker. But enough of me ranting. If you don't intend to play ray trace titles and are happy on medium and higher settings, on 1080p for newer titles, or high settings or resolution for both for older games, this GPU is for you. Just make sure that the price is decent as of now. I would say that it should cost sub 150 euros or even less to make sense, as there is nothing on the new market for that price that could compare to this GPU, while even 200 euro cards and a bit more cannot. The actual competitors that perform better are the ARC 750 and 770, the RTX 4060 or RX 7600, as well as of course the ARC B 570 and 580, but the prices there are quite higher. You might still get some ARC cards around 200 euros, but get ready to pay much more for the Nvidia and AMD offering. So, should you buy a GPU from a miner? Well, this is a very complex question. I mean, in certain cases it can be a very good purchase, but you should buy a graphics card that it's not too old, because otherwise it could be run dry, basically. Also, the conditions the card is kept in, it's very important, Modified VBIOSes could be an issue. And I don't know, also other stuff, but as said, I had a good experience and I have this card. Maybe it was a rush decision to buy it, but said I will be using it for testing stuff, or maybe I will even, do some challenges with it. We will see how things go, but definitely have a better processor if you can than what I had, because the graphics card was definitely bottlenecked in Counter-Strike and in some other games, especially if you intend to play esport titles. Be sure to have also a decent processor, not just a good GPU, That's it for this video. If you enjoyed it, you know what to do. Please drop a like, leave a comment, and I will see you all on the battlefield. Gaming Teacher, out.